Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, ladies. How are you doing this evening? I, of course, am RJ. And tonight we are going to be talking about Kaylee Jones. This is a case that Bossman Blake had brought over to my attention on another stream. And I wanted to go back and take another look at this because it does deserve more attention. Hello, where the wind blows, and Carrie, thank you very much for joining me. I appreciate that, and I apologize about the slightly delayed start. I was shredding up some chicken and making chicken salad so I can have that after my live tonight. Give it a little bit of time to get all happy and marinating and everything like that, with everything mixing all together, all the flavors and everything. And tonight, if you hear some thunder in the background, I apologize. There is a thunderstorm passing my area. It looked like it was just going to miss me to the north, but it's actually hitting me as well. Hello, Cherokee Girl. Thank you for joining. Appreciate everybody coming out. I'm potentially going to have a couple guests tonight and to talk about it. Kaylee Jones, and we're going to take a good look into what is going on. But tonight, I have a couple news stories. I didn't do a full top five. I keep at the top of my show. I try to present 5 stories, 5 headlines that aren't getting a lot of national attention, but do deserve national attention. Adoption, thank you very much. I appreciate you joining me as well. So one of the stories that I'm going to give you tonight is draw to your attention is out of tragedy, great things are accomplished. Out of the mass shooting that happened July 4th in Highland Park, a tragedy of 2 parents to a 2-year-old boy was 2 of the 7 people that met their demise at the parade. And what do I mean by there is great. Sorry about that, guys. That was me. There is great story to come out of this. In less than 36 hours, now 48 hours, over $2.6 million has been donated through GoFundMe for this little boy. This 2-year-old little boy. In less than 48 hours, $2.6 million. That's humanity doing things right, stepping up and doing things right. That's awesome, adoption. That you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about, and you're going to hear this, and you're going. And if you didn't catch it the first time when I get into that, you're going to catch on and go, "Wow, I can't believe that's what he's actually saying." There's another story that I wanted to point out tonight. So just so you know, this is the story I'm talking about when I say that the little boy I'm going to show you the actual GoFundMe instead of the NPR article that I found. Bear with me just a second here. As soon as I find that link, I apologize. So the little boy's parents, the little boy's 2-year-old boy's name is Aiden McCarthy. His parents, Kevin and Irina, were two of the victims in the mass shooting. And the reason that the child survived is the dad knew that they were in a bad situation, and he intentionally did everything he could, including laying down on top of his son to shield his son. Now, unfortunately, it is not. I'm not finding the link I had seen earlier today where it was showing the there was the GoFundMe was at 2.6 million, but I'm sure you guys are aware of the story. I just wanted to make sure it was being brought to people's attention. And then unfortunately, I'm not finding the other story I had earmarked. I apologize. But that's mainly the story I really wanted to bring up, other than what we're going to talk about with Kaylee Jones tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up saying hellos as everybody comes in. Where the wind blows, absolutely it was. The dad realized the situation was bad, and he did everything to protect his son. And he knew that it meant that it was potentially going to be sacrificing his own life to do so, and that's exactly what he did. Honeybee, how are you tonight? Thank you for joining me. Again, thank you everybody for joining me. I'm going to start with I'm going to post this because, like I said, there's a potential a couple people are going to be joining me as the live goes on. So I'm going to go ahead and pin a link to the chat. Unless I say it's open chat, only a certain persons are going to be allowed to come up. They already know who they are. Fifi, thank you very much for joining me. How are you doing tonight? I understand. So the first thing I'm going to start with is a video. We're going to go ahead and play the video that Bossman Blake posted on his channel. And yes, I have permission to use this without giving any sort of advisory or anything like that um, from his channel. So bear with me just a moment. And this is the video that he put together about Kaylee Jones. As soon as I find it, bear with me a moment here. I apologize, folks. There we go. Found it. It's only about 5 minutes long, but we will real quickly play this. And this was to give everybody a good recap on what about Kaylee Jones.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in. But before we get started, make sure you like and subscribe to my channel so you get a notification every time I go live or drop a video. I appreciate it. Good evening. Welcome to Dark Secrets. Tonight, we look into the case of Kaylee Jones. Kaylee was last seen June 14th. Her mom went in her bedroom, told her good night. That was the last time she seen her daughter. Now, there's something that you need to know about Kaylee, and it's very important. Kaylee is autistic. So that means she requires medical care from her mom and dad. Now, Kaylee lived with her parents in a small town right here in Georgia called Carrollton. I actually used to go to school in Carrollton, State University of West Georgia. Now, Carrollton, Georgia, it's like living in the country. Nice, quiet area. And this family actually lived on Whippington Creek Church Road. Now, like any other teen, Kaylee loved to get on social media. But you have to remember, Kaylee was autistic, so she really didn't pay attention to the dangers of social media. So she chatted with a lot of different people on different platforms. Now, prior to the day that Kylie went missing, her parents took her cell phone from her. Now, the reason they took her cell phone is because they found out she was talking to about 4 or 5 guys on social media. I probably would have did the same thing too. So not only is Kaylee missing, she don't have a cell phone with her. So let's check out this story as it was presented on the news.
Kaylee Jones has not been seen in a week, and her parents believe Jones was lured away by someone she met online.
And now they're sounding the alarm, pleading for other parents to take steps to monitor their children's social media activity.
My daughter is Kaylee Jones. She's 16 and a half, almost 17 years old.
Take a good look at Kaylee Jones.
So I was here at work, and my wife called me about 7:15, and she said Kaylee was gone.
Her parents haven't seen her for about a week, and it's hard for Daniel and Brenda Jones to go to sleep at night wondering where their daughter might be.
And it's just gut-wrenching knowing she's out there somewhere and we don't know where she's at. All of the worst thoughts come to our minds. She's our daughter, and we desperately want her back. She is a big, huge part of us. And
Kaylee is autistic, and because of that, her parents are afraid their daughter was more vulnerable to any online predators.
My wife found that she was talking to us like 4 or 5 different guys via Snapchat.
They took her phone away on Monday, and by Wednesday morning, Jones was gone. Without her phone on her, it's making it more difficult to track her down.
You never think it's going to happen to you. I tried to, run this and enforce this and reinforce this with in her mind that she cannot trust whoever she sees.
It's a message for parents out there. Keep an eye on your children's use of social media so that they don't become the next target.
They prey upon these kids, and it's sickening.
The Carroll County Sheriff's Office says they are reviewing Jones's social media records and followed up with the last persons she had contact with. They are still actively searching for Jones and hasn't ruled out possibilities on what may have happened leading up to her disappearance. As you just heard, the family is so desperate for your help. If you know anything, contact the Carroll County Sheriff's Office as soon as possible.
I will keep you updated on the latest findings and any updates that I get. Stay tuned. Make sure you share, like, comment. We got to get these stories out here, no matter how big or small they are. Remember, this could be your kid. Remember, hug your kids, love your kids. Stay vigilant.
I'm leaving that video up and that photo up so everybody gets a good picture, good look of who Kaylee is. 16-year-old girl. She looks like absolutely honeybee. You got it exactly right. She's beautiful. For a 16-year-old little girl, she's beautiful. She looks just like the average teenager. Average 16-year-old teenager. Bossman didn't know, and I'm not criticizing Bossman in any way, shape, or form. The story was not, the information that I'm about to say was not his fault. When this was originally being reported, and at the time that Bossman made this video, it was only saying that it was her parents. It was not saying that she was adopted. From a little bit later on, as drawing a mental blank on the person's name. I'm very bad with names, so bear with me just a second. A few moments ago, the adoption scams was saying that they were just watching this. It wasn't until then, until that interview that came out that she was adopted. And that is going to play a key part in just a few moments of information that we're going to go over. But to me, the only thing that she was not normal about her was that she had autism. Or she has autism, my apologies. But to me, it sounded like pretty much she had a very typical teenager's life. She had friends. She had her own cell phone. She had a computer she was allowed to use, a little Chromebook. And she had, just typical 16-year-old teenage problems. I'm sure we can go on and on, name them. I'm sure there's boys involved. I'm sure there's the normal teenagers. Thank you, boss man. I appreciate it. The normal teenager angst, schoolwork. What are you going to be doing on the weekends? Her adoptive parents do refer to her as high functioning. So high functioning typically means that it's pretty normal, but she has her moments where she needs to slow down, adjust to what's going on. Maybe I'll have a moment where she needs to just stop and be alone. Okay. That's all very typical things that a child with autism may deal with. When Bossman Blake originally showed me this clip, my very first instinct was, have they searched areas of water? And I'm bringing something up right now. Bear with me a moment. There's a statistic I want to show you that from Missing and Exploited, and it's going over accidental or cases with children with that run away. Or in this case, when they have was declared as being accidental death. There is a statistic on here that I want you to pay attention to. By the numbers, drowning deaths are a major concern for children on the autism spectrum. They've done a 10-year analysis that showed accidental deaths, of all the deaths, accidental deaths, 84% were drownings. It's very common for a child with autism, if they're overwhelmed, a natural instinct for them is to find a quiet, dark place, a place of isolation, or a place where there's running water, like a stream, a lake. Now, why am I mentioning that that's 84% times of accidental death? Is not to say that I believe is deceased or anything like that. It's still the statistic of she's going to seek out, if she did run away and get overwhelmed by circumstances, by stigma, by the just emotional overload, felt overwhelmed, that she's going to find a place that was quiet, where she could be secluded, if you will, get into her small space, where she would feel most protected, isolating herself. Get into a small place, like a cave. Right, right, right. Where the wind blows, you're right, and thank you for making that point. High functioning autistic girl, a high functioning autistic person can very, very well have a full-time job, live on their own. It's just like I'm saying right now, if they start to feel overwhelmed and they start to get that emotional overload, they would want to internalize, get into a small space, a quiet place where they can readjust. It's a natural instinct. Another place, they would also seek out water, places of running water. Why is that? Is because it's a very soothing and natural thing. Hello, Miss Lorraine. Thank you very much for joining me. Bossman Blake, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I again want to say thank you very much for bringing this up to us, and you and I did talk behind the scenes about. I did get permission from the person that was had done the interview to take a look at it, and we had talked about it before. And I think there's some very interesting things that and I mean no disrespect to Sleuth Mom, she's actually a very good creator, but there's things that she didn't take note of, and I think it needs to be taken note of because she wanted to keep the parents talking, have the interview. She didn't have the ability to react to what we're going to point out tonight. Mm-hmm. There you go, guys. Where the Wind Blows has an autistic child. Look what she's saying. She's saying exactly what we're talking about. They want to go to a place that is they're familiar, or go to somewhere where it's going to be soothing to them. Running water is a very soothing sound. Busman, that's exactly why on that live, I kind of threw you off on that night, but that's exactly why I was bringing up about the water, about them searching near water.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I dated a woman who had an autistic child, and it was weird to me because he would like to go sit next to the dryer and listen to the dryer.
Mm-hmm.
And I never understood why. It just, I don't know, it soothed him. It was weird to me, but now that you bring that up, it makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, I wanted to keep that everybody that have everybody have that fresh in their mind. Okay, we're trying to get information on this, and this case, this child going missing, has actually been worse than pulling teeth to get information on. Yep, the creek was from the front yard. There you go. Right, you're right. Adoption scams. You're right. Her parents were saying things that go beyond autism. It mimics autism. They spoke of bipolar, but not being able to have her diagnosed yet because of her age. Right. Yeah, they do. They do mention that in the interview. In fact, let's go ahead and jump into that interview because we're gonna pause this several times and we're gonna talk about it. Bear with me just another second here. Make sure I have it at the right spot. Okay. So this is Soothbomb's channel. I did speak with her on Facebook Messenger. I have her permission to play this and take a look at it. Just because, so everybody knows, this is protected under Section 107 of the Fair Use Act. I believe would be section or subcategory 6 or whatever it is. This is fair use. I have both permission from the original creator of this, and we're doing this for educational purposes as well. So again, I want to make sure everybody knows this is not to critique Sleuth Bomb in any way, shape, or form in her interview or her interview skills. It is purely to critique what the parents are saying because it is worthy to be critiqued.
Thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here and to help Brenda and everybody else any way we can.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Brenda. How are you?
I'm here. I'm here. And so is my husband, Danny.
Hi, good
Hi,
afternoon.
Danny.
Hi, Danny.
So why don't you guys tell us a little bit about Kaylee?
Yeah, sorry. She's a girl. Sorry.
It's okay. It's nerve-wracking.
Well,
what type of sports did she like?
Anyway,
Personality-wise, stuff like that.
Kaylee was almost 17 years old. We adopted her and her brother 12 years ago. I was looking at it. It's been 12 years, and so 12 years ago we did that. Several years ago, about 6 or 7 years ago, we started her in horses and stuff, equine therapy, blah blah blah. But her favorite thing now is, of course, she loves the horses. That actually helped her with a lot of different things, even with her autisticness, and she's very high functioning. Most of the time, she's very happy, and it's a lot of fun. She's silly and this and that, but she has her other sides and other issues and stuff she still deals with, besides the autism.
Did we lose sound?
Try to be normal, but
Okay, there we go.
Was everybody hearing that? I apologize, boss man. I heard you say no sound.
Yeah, it stopped for a while. We didn't hear anything for a while.
Oh, I apologize. How long was it? I'll back it up some.
He had I can't remember the last thing he said, but he just started talking again, and then when I said something, you had muted it or paused it, so it might be.
All right, I'll back it up just a little bit here, just to make sure everybody can hear it. Let me know in the chat room. I'll be watching the chat room this time. I was watching the video more than anything else. Let me know in the chat room if you guys can hear it when I start playing it again.
She's a girl. Sorry.
It's okay. It's nerve-wracking.
Well,
what type of sports did she like? Personality-wise, stuff like that.
Kaylee was almost 17 years old. We adopted her and her brother 12 years ago. I was looking at it. It's been 12 years, and so 12 years ago we did that. Several years ago, about 6 or 7 years ago, we started her in horses and stuff, equine therapy, blah blah blah. But her favorite thing now is, of course, she loves the horses. That actually helped her with a lot of different things, even with her autisticness, and she's very high functioning. Most of the time, she's very happy, and it's a lot of fun. She's silly and this and that, but she has her other sides and, other issues and stuff she still deals with. Besides the autism, she is bipolar. They haven't diagnosed it, but they don't want to at, her age, this and that, but it's genetic / hereditary. It's very certain from, research and stuff that Brenda has done, my wife, and there's just too many signs to not. So, and anyway, we have issues with her here and there, and then, we're just normal things and normal parents. I get, we'll try to be normal, but I don't think I guess maybe we're not normal, but yeah, I mean, this whole world with technology, the telephones and the internet and all that kind of stuff is a real far out there place that nobody, I guess the new young people that didn't know it before or know the internet before there was no internet, they don't grasp the reality of it. And it's not just fake and it's not just virtual. It's actually real out there somewhere. So,
yeah.
Anyhow.
So she was about 4 years old then, whenever you guys adopted her?
Yes. Well, she was 3.5, almost 4. But my wife, she's a development therapist, and actually she was a client to my wife from the time she was 18 months old.
Okay.
Her and her brother were yeah, put them in foster care. Then, Brenda got them. Like I said, she did the therapy in the foster home itself, and for about 18 months almost. She had not even.
Guys, I apologize. I paused it real quick. I apologize. The audio is a bit choppy. I realize that it's the original audio. It's not me. It's not my internet or anybody's connection. It is choppy. It's the original video. But real quick. So far, everything's great. So far in this interview, everything's great. But beyond the initial nervousness gaffe of only describing her in one word as a girl, it seems like right now they've gotten past that, and things are going a little bit smoother with talking about her. If anybody is not sure what they are saying, I would be more than happy to let you know, because I remember the interview.
Even 3 when she found out that Brenda found out that they were going to terminate, right? Because the parents couldn't get their act together forever. God dropped a little girl in our lap, and we honestly didn't know she had a brother. And when we found out, we said, well, we're just going to take both of them. So we took both of them, and then it's been a very much of a roller coaster ride with them and their issues, and their special needs and the different things. But yeah, I mean, God brought this little girl into my life, and very happy that she did. I mean, I can't honestly say we go back and do it again, knowing what we know now. But just the heart of it is, because there's a lot of days when we wonder if we did the right thing, and because it's killing us and it stressed the whole entire family out. But the reality is we were where she was before, and if she was probably not in our home, and I'm not bragging on ourselves, but it's just that we have really tried to focus on making her be the most that she can be on her own. And sometimes it doesn't look like that from the outside looking in, but just yeah. I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying, because sometimes kids don't always see things that we're doing out of love the same way that we do. And so I totally understand that. Now, do you guys have other children in the home besides Kaylee and her brother?
We actually.
All right, so I think this is a good moment to pause right there because this is where it starts to get a little sideways, guys. And I'll be honest, it gets sideways. Okay, so right now everything looks typical, everything looks normal, as it should. Mom is a social worker. Let's remember this interview was pretty much set up with the mom. Who have we not heard from so far?
The mom.
Right.
I wanna interject for just a moment.
Sure, absolutely.
When biological parents put their kids up for adoption is for one or two reasons. Of course, the main one, they can't take care of them. Maybe it's a financial reason. And two, I feel like it's because of reasons they feel like they can't handle a kid that may have a disability, whether it's mental or physical. And we know, going back to, and I'm not going to say Orrin and Orson had any type of physical or mental ability because that was never said.
Right.
But something that this father said goes back, and it reminds me of what that asshole said that was supposed to be a father of Orson and Orrin. And it strike a nerve for me because in a time where your kid is missing, regardless of the hard times or the struggles you had since you got the kid and trying to, give the kid a loving home and raise the kid the best of your ability, there's certain things you just leave out. Like he said, we wouldn't do it again if we know what we know now. Me personally, and that's just like, Orrin and father, I hate to even say his name, saying they rambunctious, whatever you say. These are terms or phrases that I feel like should not be even spoke of. Because if you think about it, what does that do to someone on the outside looking in? They're going to look at you like, oh, you were tired of them. You wanted them to leave. Do that make sense to you, bro?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Like I was saying, this is where it starts to go sideways. He's made the statement, we wouldn't do this again. Not of we love these children so much that we couldn't have children and so, but our life is about making sure that these two, sister and brother, have the best possible life. It's just a flip it. We wouldn't do this again.
Right. And that bothers me. And to me, it just it make me feel like you don't care if she comes back. You're just doing the right thing because she's missing. You have to report her missing because if you don't, it will look bad on you. I think they know she ran away.
Oh yeah.
And we'll get into that because that's coming up soon anyway. So.
Oh, absolutely. But there's going to be, like I said, this is the point where we're going to be doing a lot more of pausing and coming back. Before I do go back to the video, I do have another somebody else joining us here, Mr. John Q. Thank you for joining us.
What's going on, bro?
How are you, gentlemen? How you doing? Just getting in. Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, no. You're pretty much right on time. We're going over the interview from Sleuth Mom. Pretty much right now, we're just at the point where it starts to turn sideways.
Oh, okay.
Where he starts to make odd statements in his interview.
Oh, okay. Well, that says I didn't miss much, but I'll be a keen listener and pick up what I need to. Just wanted to say hello, chat. Much love to everyone supporting RJ and the story that he's presenting tonight. Mr. Boss Blake, much love to you.
Much love, my brother.
All right. I'm going to be back in the cut listening.
All right.
Now we have total 5 kids. The only one left at home. Because our oldest is almost 25. We have twins that are 20. And my youngest son is he went,
which is her brother.
Which is her brother, and he's out actually in Illinois and in touch with his birth mom and everything, which is, and he's, that's what he wants. But he that was actually a good thing, because he went out on his own, and now he's able to see what we were trying to do for him, and he appreciates the fact. And we've been trying to get him to talk with Kaylee a little bit as well, to get her to understand a little bit better. But yeah, she's the only one left at home.
Okay. And so tell me about like the days leading up to her disappearing. Has she ever run away in her past, or is this the first time this has happened?
This is the second time. She ran away in February because we took her phone. The first time. But she was gone for like 4 hours, and the police brought her back. She got in a car with an older lady because she was lost. She just took off out of the house. We thought she was hiding in the backyard, and then we realized she's not hiding in the backyard because we have lots of acres back there. And next thing we know, the police brought her back. And it was no more than 4 hours.
You said that she got into a car with an older lady that last time. Did she know that lady?
No, that's the terrifying part.
So like, here's her granddaughter that's about.
And then she took her to her house.
So she got in the car and went to her house.
Thank God the lady, because she called the police. But yes, that's the scary part. Kaylee just got in that person's car.
That's the most terrifying, gut-wrenching thing you can even think of, and we got her back. And it was just.
I want to give everybody a question here. Compared to the description I gave to you earlier, that if a child with autism starts to feel overwhelmed either by emotion or circumstances, does this sound like an activity that a child with autism would display? Getting into a vehicle with a stranger.
Going by what you said earlier, no.
Absolutely not. But the parents are classifying her and saying that she is autistic and potentially bipolar. And just so I didn't give the full reading of this before, a copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, Fair Use Act. Allowances made for fair use for criticism, comment, news, reporting, scholarship, research, and educational purposes. Thank you very much, Carrie. I seriously got to get that down on paper somewhere and make a little thing that I can pop up when I do stuff. I appreciate you, Carrie, for having my back, as always.
Yeah, I can send you a copy of the copyright disclaimer so that this way you can have it and post it anytime you need it.
I appreciate that, John. I appreciate it because I keep forgetting to do that. It's like it was on my mind to do so, and I get distracted, and before I knew it was 8:30 to start, and I was like, just completely forgot. Easy to forget something, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because there's so many moving parts when you present a case, especially like this, that's now starting to develop in tonight's presentation. And for her to have went missing for 4 hours the first time and finding out that she had gotten into a stranger's car went missing for 4 hours. That stranger called the police, and then they had successfully returned her to the
And,
parent.
and it's a thankful that the person that was a grandmother of somebody her age said, I'm going to go ahead and pick this child up. I have no ill intent. This is like my grandchild. I'm calling the police.
Right. Right. So the first time, yeah, they got lucky. But hence, you have to go back to the first time to say, why did she go missing the first time? Now we have a second time that has occurred, and she didn't come back.
Adoption scams, you are exactly right. If we are talking about a child that only has autism, this child has only been diagnosed with autism. So we can't go on anything beyond that. John, Bossman Blake, myself, we all agree with when we're looking at cases, when we're looking at missing children and things like that, we all believe in something that Donna in the interview room says all the time. You cannot leave square one.
Right.
Square one in this case is we know she's classified as autism.
Now, what would be extremely complimenting, and I'm not here to put anyone on the spot, Miss Adoption Scams.com. Her and I have collaborated before on the West case, and she's got background a lot in the field of a lot of different medical illnesses pertaining to a lot of different cases that she's worked. It would be great if if you still have your link connected, invite her up, and she can definitely give you some insights to add to this story, because we've collaborated before, and she definitely gave some excellent information regarding classic and sincere. And I believe we talked about RAD regarding the boys, on how their psychological aspects are interfered with and interrupted during the course of going from one family to another family, especially if there's an adoption process involved. So I just wanted to mention that to you. She's a valuable resource, and I'm sure that her commentary would be valuable in this case as well.
If Adoption Scams want to grab the link that's pinned, she is more than welcome to do so. I know I said that I was saying nobody could join until I said it was open. John, you make an excellent point that if she has insight, she's welcome to come up.
I think it was I was under RAD's reactive adjustment disorder. When you talk about a child's psychological adaptation to environmental and physical change, because it does have a major impact. And there could have been an adjustment phase that wasn't taking with the 16-year-old, the girl that went missing, and also possibly that may have showed up in the younger brother. And in listening to parts of what the husband is saying here regarding the son, who is well adjusted and everything is okay, and he went back, and I said, go ahead and say it, he went back to seek out the biological family. Who's to say she wasn't doing or trying to do the same thing?
Absolutely. We are approximately 7 minutes 45 seconds into the interview now. That's the first time that we've heard from the mom. I'm pointing that out for a reason. I really, this is something that I think is, I'll make another point of later on, but I'm setting that point up by saying this is the first time that we heard from the mom. When this interview was primarily set up with the mom.
Yeah.
So the last time that she had ran away, she had no plan whatsoever. She just
No.
left the house and went with a stranger, complete and total stranger.
But she had money.
The girl had money, had a gift card.
Okay.
Didn't have money. That was her
Okay.
thought, have money, have a gift card. Yeah. So that can tell you how Kaylee.
It's probably the impulsive part is probably a little bit of, you were saying, the bipolar part of it.
Yes. So we took her phone for a while. Oh, actually, that night we sent her to Chicago to be with her brother, and we thought maybe he could talk to some sense into her, because she was just so determined. I don't know what she was determined to do, but she was determined. So she spent a week in Chicago, and then this mama heart couldn't handle it, so I went and got her, and spent a week with her in downtown Chicago, just doing fun touristy stuff. Then we came home. She still didn't have her phone. We took it for a while. She had no Snapchat. We locked it where she could only have like 2 hours a day when she was beside us. We had just recently given it back to her. We thought she learned from that.
She kind of showed in a way that I thought was a little more open and actually.
She seemed to be doing a lot better.
Yeah.
Until a couple of weeks before she ran away. She was just not happy, just pretty depressed.
Did y'all hear that? Did y'all hear that?
That's very normal.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just want to say that we did have adoption scams join us. So if you don't recognize a voice, that probably is going to be adoption scam speaking.
The only female here right now, yeah.
Hey, adoption scam, how are you?
Hi, John. Thank you. Very good.
Good to see you. And is it okay if I call you by your first name like I always do?
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Everybody in the chat, this is Miss Lynn, aka Adoption Scams.
Miss Lynn, thank you very much for joining us and giving us some insight. Charlie K, thank you for joining us. I appreciate you doing so.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Honeybee makes a comment that the feeling I get from the interview is not genuine. I get a weird vibe. Honeybee, welcome to the club. That's what we're talking about tonight.
You know, the thing that I hear, guys, a little background. I'm a mom through adoption twice. And both of my girls are in open adoptions. Our second child we brought home at 18 months. She's actually related to us. And we saw dead eyes at 18 months old, dead eyes. And you could clearly see that she never got to bond with anyone. And we did everything by the book. Anything and everything you guys might have told us to do, we had already done it. When I listen to these parents, I am hearing so many things you guys don't get to hear. And these parents are on the defense right away because the judgment is coming from people who are saying love is enough. And I'm here to tell you, love is not enough. Even at 18 months old, love was not enough. And now they've got a missing child. The one thing that I can say they did wrong is they gave her the opportunity to go online, to have access to phones and computers. I never did that. Why would I? When you've got a child who is going to defy every rule, every safety measure you put in place, they're going to sabotage it. Our daughter wasn't born wanting this kind of life. It was the life that she was given. And these parents are not out to blame this child, but they are realizing that they don't get to parent her like we get to parent all the other children. And Honeybee's got it right. Love is not enough.
I was raised in a household where my parents, when they were together, they had foster children come in. And I remember a few instances where a foster child, a baby, would come into our home that was born addicted to drugs. Just to give everybody an example, another example of this. You cannot look into the baby's eyes if they are born addicted to certain drugs, because you could actually cause a seizure. They physically and emotionally cannot handle it, the eye contact. It will cause a seizure. So sometimes you can love a child. I 100% agree with that. You can love a child and use that to propel yourself to be the best possible parent for that child. And sometimes it goes beyond what you're mentally and emotionally and physically are prepared for.
And it sounds as well, I don't mean to cut you off, Boss Blake. It sounds reminiscent, if you will, from the early stages of this interview pertaining to the husband and the way he is actually describing and interviewing with the content creator. It sounds like they had some good times, and then they had some very rough times. And then he sounds doubtful as to whether they would have done it all over again. So this is where those vibes come in to say, okay, here was a difficulty that was extremely challenging with the daughter, more so than most likely the son. And this is what brought up, and I believe Elizabeth Landers had brought up the RAD, and I said, bingo. It had to be a reactive adjustment disorder issue pertaining to the successful placement of both these children in this household after being in a previous foster care home at that time.
And each child, it's reactive attachment, and each child, we're all born different. Our personalities, our characters are different. And I've always likened it to my younger sister as a very quiet, shy young lady. She would have just kind of gone with the flow. Not me. I am loud and I've got to get my point across, and I would have come out kicking and screaming. So each child is also going to handle it differently. And I believe we got to the point where the parents were also talking about, we'll have some calm time. And then all of a sudden, it's basically chaos for a few weeks. That is a pattern with these kids. The kids, sometimes you can liken it. We have anniversaries, like the anniversary of their disruption from the home that they always knew. All of a sudden, it was disrupted maybe in May of one year. So every year in May, you're going to see a reaction from these children. And then you're not always going to get to know, as foster parents and prospective adoptive parents, what happened in their life that caused this anniversary of reactions, if that makes sense.
100%. 100% makes sense to me. So far, I have absolutely, like I said, the very beginning of what he said, that one statement I pointed out so far, that Bossman and I pointed out so far, right before John Q joined us. I've had absolutely no issues with anything he said. At the beginning was just nervousness, not sure, I'm talking on the internet, everybody goes through that the very first time. You have that hesitation moment, and that's where he started off with, she's a girl. Everybody had a good chuckle, got to get him to relax, and other than that one statement, there's been no problems with anything he says at all.
Well, the fear of judgment. We raised a child already, and we did a decent job. And all of a sudden, we had a child with reactive attachment, and our family judged us. Everybody judged us. And we took her to therapy and medical procedures like everybody told us to, because if we didn't, we were going to have social services at our door. Mm-hmm. And if they came in and made a decision that we weren't doing right by one child, the other child was going to be removed too. So the day that our oldest turned 18, we breathed a heavy sigh of relief. But that judgment, and I can't help but think these parents have already spent quite a few years being judged, not only by professionals, teachers, principals, but therapists and their own family members. And that's why he boasted about a biological child. We did good. But people are judging him based on he loves his biological child more than he does his adopted child. How dare him?
No, it's not even. I'm not judging, and I don't think.
I didn't think you were, by the way. But
no. I said I'm just making a personal statement that I'm not judging how much he loves a child, whether it's his own child or an adopted child. When you have your own child, and you have, I can understand why what you're the love that you have for a child that you adopt. It's something you develop differently than you develop from a child that you are part of creating. I'll put it that way. It's not that you love them any less. It's just they require a love that's a different genuine nature, is what I'm trying to say.
You have a responsibility to. We have both of our daughters are adopted. I had one baby that died of SIDS. So I've been a biological and an adopted mom. Mm-hmm. And it's our responsibility to the adopted parents that weigh the heaviest. It was a promise that your child is going to be loved and cherished and protected for the rest of their lives.
Yeah. What I'm trying to get to though is the comment where the wind blows is that in the end he's doubting his own worth as a parent. She's right. He really is by the statement that he's making and the emotion that he's conveying in this. Okay. And yet I want you to hold on to what he's saying because it does relate to the when you look at the whole of what he says. That statement he just made, the emotion in that statement he just made, is going to actually make you scratch your head at the end because it's out of place.
Well, he also brings up the fact that they had to take away her cell phone, according to the developing narrative here, in regards to social media contact with 4 boys. What communications or conversations were going on between her and the 4 boys? We still yet need to find that out. Whether there was some kind of search going on that she may have been using the phone to do, or use the phone in that way to actually look for her biological parents, if that is a lingering thought that comes into play. But I'm definitely willing to listen to more as we develop and proceed with tonight's presentation.
Right, and Carrie makes another good point here is that they blame themselves. They are going through a period where they're blaming themselves about taking away her cell phone. If they didn't do this, would this have happened? Type of reaction, emotion type of moment. But still, I want everybody to hang on to what he just said. In fact, I'll go back about 10, 15 seconds and play it again so it's fresh. And pay attention to not what just the words he said, but the emotion you pick up in what he's saying.
All right, let's get it.
Heart couldn't handle it, so I went and got her. And spent a week with her in downtown Chicago, just doing fun touristy stuff. Then we came home. She still didn't have her phone. We took it for a while. She had no Snapchat. We locked it where she could only have like 2 hours a day when she was beside us. We had just recently given it back to her. We thought she learned from that.
She kind of showed in a way that was a little more open and actually.
She seemed to be doing a lot better.
Yeah.
Until a couple of weeks before she ran away. She was just not happy, just pretty depressed.
Was there one particular event that you think led to her being depressed or upset?
No, I mean, I know she wasn't really, she was missing Florida.
The whole thing is with the both of them, and as long as we had them, we were always through a cycle almost of rotations and it would depend some days or sometimes the length of time that we would have. We called them good days. I mean, when they were young, both of them, we could have 2 or 3 good days, in a row, and all of a sudden we'd be down for 3 weeks, and then it got more good days, and then we'd have the lesser of the worst days, and then you'd get a cycle 6 months long, and all of a sudden here you are for 3 weeks, and there's nothing you can do to calm them or console their spirit.
Right.
So I mean,
sadly, that
yeah,
happens
oh,
so often in kids that go through this system because of the neglect in their care and
correct.
the moving and things like that that happens whenever you go from, you know, a neglectful or abusive household and then to the system and then to somebody else's home. It's a lot, especially in that very, very young age that she was. I mean, you guys are saying about 18 months she was in types of therapy and stuff like that already, where you actually met her and then adopted at around 3.5. You know, that's a lot on a young mind. And so I can understand how that would carry out through her childhood.
Well, and
Okay,
I
so
will
you
say,
guys go
oh,
ahead.
sorry. I was just
No,
going to
go
say
ahead.
it is important, I think, to mention too, because Sleuth Mom, you and I have talked about this a little bit, and Brenda and I talked about this throughout this whole process. You were trying to get Kaylee the help she needed,
Right.
as far as therapy. However,
Yes.
the system is broken, and you were not able to. So
For the past several years, you know, we have the med management, and she was on ADHD medicine. She was on this and antidepressant, this and that and the other. And we'd go, and Kaylee and her brother did the same thing when he was with us. But it was like they, you know, the doctor will ask, "How you doing?" "Oh, I'm doing fine." And you kind of look at him, you're like, "Really? Are you? You're not telling the whole truth or whatever." But the doctor really never fed into that. She was on the highest dosage of her ADHD med, and I think one of the anti-anxiety meds or whatever. And then we were back and forth, and the move changed, or, you know, the move happened because of work. And, you know, it was actually a good thing because I went to work at a horse farm, and Kaylee has horses, and there is beautiful acreage out there that you can ride a horse and all this. So it's a benefit for her as well, and all this. But back to the medicine stuff, fought for months because back and forth trying to get it. We wound up taking her off or we couldn't get refills, so we kind of, you know, had to quit the medicine, and that was also the fight of trying to get her back on it, but just not blatantly putting her back on something. And I was trying to talk to her several weeks ago. Like, I don't want to go back on meds. I feel better like this. Yep, it helps still. But he was like against it. But at the time, Kaylee, you're old enough now that now you've been off all your meds, you know, for several weeks, months, or whatever it was. I don't know if it's very long, but you can actually get ahead of what you're feeling, and now we can get doctors. Now we'll get your doctor and work with it, because then you'll be able to say if it's working or not. And if you're getting, like, you know, depressed, well, maybe we'll change something here or there, and we'll try to help, you know, all around. But anyway, it's just
It's a lot, especially whenever you're dealing with medication and stuff like that. So was she back on her meds at the time of her disappearance? And just for everybody who is just joining us, because we have gone up several people, this is about Kaylee Jones. She is 16 years old, beautiful brown hair, beautiful brown eyes, missing in Carrollton, Georgia. I believe I said that right. And so she had recently moved to Georgia from Florida. She is homeschooled, if I'm correct. And, you know, she was adopted at a young age, and her family just wants her back. They just are wondering where she is. This is the second time she has vanished. The first time she got into a vehicle with an unknown person who, thank God, called police and got her back to her house. And so the second time, once again, you know, she may not have had any plan at all, or there could be the social media aspect. Now, you guys believe that she could have been lured out of her home by somebody on social media. Or at least I had heard that. And so did she play certain apps or games on her phone or Chrome tablet? How was she active online?
I'm just going to pause it real quick right here and say, everybody that has a child, no matter if their child has any sort of learning disability, special needs, this is actually a warning to all parents. What they're about to say is a warning to all parents. This is absolutely the truth of what they're going to tell you about Chromebooks. Before I do go back to playing that video, I want to make sure everybody has a chance if they caught anything, or they want to have a comment about what they've heard so far.
Lynn here. One of the things was when the dad was talking, number one, as psychiatrist is the one that handles the medication. And usually with psychiatry, they spend a few minutes on either side of it, and they only spend a few minutes with the child. A child with reactive attachment or antisocial personality or bipolar, that child allows you to see who they want you to see.
Mm-hmm.
So that child isn't, or that person isn't always the whole person. And the parents get to see who it is behind closed doors, per se. And I think that's really important to remember. And then in the United States, when it comes to therapy for anyone who comes from a place of trauma, it's few and far between. In my own state, now there are 3 therapists in my whole state that can work with children in foster care or adoption and understand the issues that comes with these children. And so I just wanted to throw that out there. And these kids kids like Kaylee do not see, they always run years behind their actual age. And so if they're 16 years old, they're acting as maybe a 9-year-old, a 10-year-old. And the last thing that forms is our cognitive abilities, in our brain to understand the consequences of our actions. So these kids, that is way behind. And it's not that they're trusting, but she had a plan. And that was to get away from where she was. And she doesn't feel the fear that you and I think we've instilled in our children, or that we think she should have. And Bossman Blake, you're right. After adopting her and her brother, they realized they got in deep. And a lot of times there are no way out. If they would have tried to go to social services or somewhere and said help, that service is not there for them. And all there is judgment and criticism.
Yeah, exactly. So, Bossman, thank you. Actually, I'm sorry, Miss Lynn. Thank you very much for catching that. I accidentally had myself muted, and I'm sitting here trying to talk, and you know how that goes. But Bossman is exactly right. They got into something that they were not prepared for. There was nobody had given any indications that there was any sort of problem, and they knew that they were there, that they had to do the best that they could. But I'm going to just jump back for a second, a little bit here. I don't remember who it was. I don't remember where the question was, and I apologize that the adopted mom and dad's cell phone or whatever device they are on is choppy. It may not have the best of reception. I don't know, but there was a question of whether about sending her to another state or another location They sent her to Chicago to visit her brother who had already moved out of the house and lived in the Chicago area, to give her a chance to, thinking just she needed a break away from the household type of deal. And when she came back, everything would be, I don't want to say back to normal, but closer to normal, because she got to spend time with somebody she was familiar with. There's that whole autism. They don't like changes. So the fact that her brother, somebody growing up that she knows as a brother, moves to Chicago area, that's a major change to them.
Especially when she's so young.
Right. So that I understand their mentality of why they would send her to Chicago to visit her brother. It wasn't anything like, oh, I can't deal with you right now, I'm going to go send you to somebody else's home. No, it was actually to try to help her.
Constantly searching for answers.
John Q, you have anything you want to add to that?
Oh no, you guys are covering all the right points, and factoring in a lot of what the parents are saying. It's giving us a good, clear position as to, where they stand, what was going on, where they stand, what they were experiencing, what she was experiencing, and the layout of the disability that's involved here. Autism being one of them. I heard him say that she was on antidepressants, ADHD. So there's a lot going on mentally with
And
Kaylee.
she went off them. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then now connecting all of this with the length of time that she went to Chicago to see her brother and then came back. So I'm sure that there must have been a stream of conversations between her and her brother during that visit that began possibly shifting her mind regarding her life, regarding how she saw his life, what he was doing, the environment he lived in, and then her comparing her life with the adoptive parents back in Georgia, I believe it is, right?
Yes. I apologize again. I muted myself. Horrible.
Right. Okay. Back in Georgia on a open, wide, laid back community, and whereas Chicago versus Georgia's environmental living conditions are different. So once again, this is going to have a psychological impact on Kaylee, on where she feels she wants to be in her life right now. So this is bringing me up to speed, and I appreciate Mr. Boss Blake for bringing awareness to this story on his channel as you began tonight's live, and Sleuth Mom for actually conducting this interview and bringing also awareness and exposure to a case like this, because these are the cases that are out there, but we don't know anything about them until one of us content creators, grabs a hold of them and brings it to light. So I do thank Sleuth Mom for that. And of course, Miss Lynn and her background in all of this being a major plus in helping us to identify different aspects of what Kaylee may have been going through. So I'm very honored to be in a good group.
Right. And Bossman Blake is making the point that I was alluding to when I said, listen to their emotion. Listen to not only the words they were saying, but the emotion they were conveying when they're talking. Okay. He's pinpointing exactly what I was talking about. with what he's saying, when he's saying what I was trying to say earlier was that the mom said 2 weeks before she ran away this time. Oh, so she did run away. She wasn't abducted. That's why they are so calm. They're so calm because this is, to them, this is an attitude of, this is status quo. This is just perfectly normal. The child's ran away 2 times. That's not that, even if it were the second time. There's the emotion of being distraught or being a wreck, concerned, worried. It's just not there in their voices and what they're conveying and the language that they're using.
But at the same time, you had a mom who, when her daughter went to Chicago, she struggled with her daughter being gone for 2 weeks. So she went up and spent extra time with her. This is a set of parents. I think, I don't remember if it was, no, Carrie Lawson had asked early on. It was a question kind of like, at what point did you realize you couldn't parent the child the same? My mom had said to me, with our daughter, she was 17, and my mom had said, Lynn, you don't get to parent this child. And I realized at that moment, you're right. All those years, and I've got a stubborn brain, but all those years, and I finally realized, you're right. I don't get to parent this child like I'm supposed to parent, or I wanted to parent, or I thought I was supposed to parent. I don't get to parent her like I did our first daughter. And if my biggest fear was my daughter was going to hook up with someone online and disappear in the middle of the night. A huge fear of mine. So I put all these safety measures in place, and that caused me to sleep on the couch for months at a time and put alarms everywhere so that didn't happen, because I knew that my child wasn't going to have this fear. I don't think that the parents are all that calm about things. I just think they've come to this resolution that they know they aren't going to be able to protect her anymore. I don't know what to say to that. You're right, Bossman Blake. She wasn't abducted. She had a plan. She made a plan. And these parents didn't get to know what it was.
Right.
And yes, she is where she wants to be. Yep.
And we're right at the point where the parents are also revealing what they realized, and that they've made mistakes, unknowingly made mistakes. And this is why I was saying, this is what's going to be coming out in the next few seconds. It is a warning to all parents. If you have preteens, teenagers, or a child of any age that you're letting use in your home, you're letting use a computer that is not, you're not monitoring their activity, or you have a Chromebook, pay attention what they're going to be saying in a moment.
we just found out that she was going to chat rooms. We know one called that she was on.
Sorry, say what that was called again.
Omegle.
Okay.
Omegle.
Omegle. Yeah.
Okay.
OMEAW.com.
I know that's where she met a couple of the guys that we were talking to.
The problem with that website is it's anonymous. You don't
Okay,
need
wait 1 second, because I think you guys are breaking up a tiny bit. So she was on Omegle, and you said that that's where she met a couple of the guys she was talking to. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Continue. Sorry.
And
that's all we know.
I've never heard of half of these chat rooms. I've learned in the last few weeks.
Never knew.
we had no idea, and we find out the hard way that this is one of the worst things out there, because there's no profile to build. You literally log onto the website.
Oh yeah, chat's blowing up saying it's bad website.
This thing, you just pop open a little window, or it has a window on it, and you can put your likes in there, and then you can connect with people that, the thing randomly connects you with different people.
Oh, wow.
That is scary.
Share whatever you want to share on the chat, or you can also video chat, like a FaceTime or whatever. And once you close that page, there's nothing on there. It wipes itself, basically. You can't see nothing. And
now, have the police taken her devices?
Yes.
Yes.
But
okay, good.
A Google Chromebook, and I tried to put all the safeguards on it and this and that, but the thing that I've learned, because I've had anyway, and you basically, with the Google Chromebook itself, there's an incognito mode, which is like a private browsing thing. Well, on the Chromebook itself, not like another computer like a Dell or something that has Chrome on it. The Chromebook itself, it literally keeps no data. And I found the hard way.
Did you catch that, guys? A Google Chromebook keeps no data. It's not like going to your Chrome browser if you use Google Chrome and choosing incognito mode. It doesn't matter what apps or programs you use. The Google Chromebook, when you shut it down, it keeps no data. There's absolutely zero record kept. This is actually huge. And it'll become in the police investigating what happened. And the parents will go into explaining that in just a moment. This is one of the things that they realized, that they made a mistake by getting her and allowing her to have a Chromebook. YJ, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us.
I believe Boss Blake makes the statement right here based upon the parents, the adoptive parents. She's not missing. They know it. She hasn't been lured away or abducted or anything else like that. She knows, where she wants to be, and that's where she is. They just want to make sure she's safe. And if she is, guess what? We're okay with that. And whatever happens after that is, people are going to know it's, not going to be our fault. So it eliminates the guilt trip that they're carrying right now. Because if anything does happen in the course of this investigation right now, where it stands, then they could be blamed for a lot of stuff. So it's a pressure cooker that they're in.
Absolutely. And believe me when I say I'm not trying to detract from her story any. I'm going to simply say this. Through the whole pandemic, with all the students going to be learning from home, going to school from home, what was the computer system that the students were being given?
Chromebook.
They were being given Chromebooks. Absolutely. every single kid was given in most school systems. I don't know the percentages. I don't know the numbers. I'm simply going to say in majority of the school systems, they were given a Chromebook. How scary is that?
It took me.
It's simple. It's very simple. Not to cut you off, Miss Lynn, especially during that time and period, because they know that if they were going to continue this 19, the pandemic, and people were going to continue doing homeschooling. These Chromebooks are easily recyclable into the next grade for the next year, and it wouldn't require any additional amount of data, being that the data is there temporarily and not collected at all. So it's an easily recyclable type of computer that they gave the kids. I know because my grandson, during the early stages of the pandemic and everything, he was homeschooled. They gave him a Chromebook. I'm in New York. They gave him a Chromebook. He worked off that Chromebook. When it was time to turn it back in June, boom, Chromebooks went back in. He had the summer vacation. And then, if his mother decided to continue homeschooling, guess what? You'd sign off on another Chromebook. So it was an easily recyclable device for them to use. And I understand the reason why.
Well, I understand the reason why as well. I'm just saying that the school systems was supposed to be a tool for their education that has so many vulnerabilities.
Pre-COVID, my daughter was handed a Chromebook, and for the first 2 years, it was put in the file cabinet of her counselor's office. I didn't allow it. And then when I did, eventually my state IT department that oversees the state education department, they're the ones who came to the principal and said, take it away from her. We tried everything to block all these different places on her Chromebook. And I always asked, what's the alternative? Schoolwork the old-fashioned way. But yeah, our schools handed these kids these Chromebooks, and sometimes parents didn't think that there was an alternative.
Absolutely. And Bossman is making some great points here. Him and I, like I said before, him and I have discussed this case off behind the scenes, and I agree exactly what he's saying. They only reported her. I'm going to change his wording slightly. They only reported her missing to take the blame off themselves.
Can I ask Bossman where I'm following you? Where what has been said that you feel the parents are trying to take the blame off themselves? And I'm listening with an open mind.
I'm not trying to put words into Bossman's mouth or his fingers, as he's chosen to type for a while. I think he's leading on into foreshadowing of what's coming up, because we've talked about this of what he is when Sleuth Mom did the interview. Plus, he's saying the nonchalant attitude.
Okay, got you.
Bossman Blake, that's an excellent question. We don't know that, I believe. I know you did send me an article from June from just yesterday, but I have not looked at it yet. And I don't think there's been anything mentioned or and in this article or prior to this in the interview that we're going through that says that they've actually had contact with him and interviewed him. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good and fair point. If you look at Summer Wells' case and everything that's going on with them, with him, that reminds me of Jose in the role he played in it when he was alive. That he was able to give a lot of background information that we did not have.
And actually, the investigator for the sheriff's office was talking to her tech guy. He said, I can't even take the hard drive out of that computer because as soon as I go to if I were to take it out, it's designed or set up. As soon as you do that, it's supposed to protect identities and stuff, so it'll wipe itself clean.
That's awful.
It's
There
awful.
needs to be like warning labels, on
especially
that for
since
parents.
kids use those for school, like nationwide.
Right. Correct. But I would never put a Chromebook because of this. I mean, Apple. Some people don't. I mean, I don't want to get in that debate either. But Apple versus Android. But Apple computers, they have a lot easier parental controls. There's still bypasses. Don't get me wrong. But for the most part, if you give them their Apple ID, you can get on there and you can safeguard, and it tracks like 99.9% of everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy to track it, and it's very easy to put the parental controls on there for the most part. I had more issue with that Chromebook than I did her telephone, and we were just kind of relieving some of the blocks on it because of the fact is, okay, fine, we want to show you that we're going to work with you. If you're responsible, we're going to work with you and give you more freedoms. But the freedom we didn't know we were giving her was she had to be in the dining room on her laptop doing her schoolwork and stuff because all this stuff was happening, and we're still trying to give her that, and can't be in your room, locked by yourself with a computer up there, whatever, not knowing all this was going on. But that's what she was doing. She was doing her schoolwork, quote unquote, and inadvertently, I found out after she left or whatever. I was trying to go through the book through the computer. She had her window, like when you have your screen optimized where it blows up the whole screen and takes over everything. When you right click it and minimize it a little bit. She had that screen minimized where as soon as you clicked it and it minimized down, it went to exactly half the page. So it made it funny that, okay, now I knew. And once, then it all made sense. Well, she was able to minimize it and have her chat room in the back or whatever in the incognito mode. And then if we were to walk in there, she would be able to touch it and just go back up and open up, and we wouldn't know anything because it's got her browser open with all the tabs on it, blah, blah, blah. And I honestly didn't know that the computer had the incognito mode on it. Dumb as that sounds.
I don't either. My kids both have Chromebooks for school, so I'm going to get it after this.
That's terrifying.
That guy with a
and I also
flat hat.
had an 8-year-old tell me the other day he knew all about it.
That's the terrifying thing is we don't.
Right.
Like I haven't heard of half of the apps. Like I said, I've learned about in the last 2 weeks, and these incognito modes that we're seeing. Snapchat disappears. This new website. It's like they're just setting these kids up.
Yes, they are.
Well,
And
now,
we're seeing more and more and more teenagers that are being, lured out of their homes by people, and it's terrifying. So let me ask you though, as far as running away goes, do you think that there would be a friend that she would go to, either in Georgia or in Florida, even that she would be trying to run away towards, or do you think it has to be somebody online?
No, I mean, we've talked and linked to her friends and her parents. there's only 2 that she's pretty really close to, and we've talked to a link to all of them, and so have investigators.
Well, the funny part
Yes.
is, I mean, I guess actually in a different way, you would have to think about it as, okay, our definition of a friend, I know for a fact now, I mean, looking back in the past just over 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks almost, that she has a total different idea of what a friend might be, than what we know a friend would be or should be. So she's probably off with a friend, or whatever. And whoever it is, they they coerced her, but they did it as her best friend. And to
Right.
help her,
Through this website, most likely.
probably. That's what we're thinking. If we don't know anything for certain, that's the worst part. There's yeah.
That's so
And one of
true
the things
about.
And somebody's got to be helping her because she has nothing. Yes.
Oh, right. She doesn't have any money or anything like that. That's right.
I mean, she has her.
She had maybe $50 in her wallet, if that.
Yeah, that's not going to get you far.
Yeah.
And if she used that debit card, we would know it.
Oh, yeah.
And the sheriff's office, has that number, and I think they transferred it out as far as actually to the U.S. Marshals Service as well. So now, if that card gets,
Guys, I'm going to speed this up just a little bit here. Not that they're saying nothing important or anything less important, but the interview is not too much longer. I want to make sure I get to something, a point that I believe is extremely important. And it goes back to what I was saying earlier. When I said, remember what he is saying. There's little pieces of information. I remember I was saying, remember what he's saying. And when you look at the whole sum of this, it's out of place. It's really going to add up in just a few more moments. But I want to point out what Bossman Blake is saying, because him and I are 100% lock and step on this. I believe what he's saying is a very much more eloquent way than I could have worded it. I don't think that they had her hurt or anything like that, but I feel she expressed her feelings about being there, and they gave up on trying to make her happy. She was being homeschooled. Imagine the mom homeschooling that kid. Sorry if I sound judgmental. You're not sounding judgmental, boss man. Do not worry about that. And that he's explaining that he's a realist and he prays he's wrong, but it's just how he sees this. And Bossman, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. And I think the proof of what there is going to be coming up in just a couple more moments, it is proof of exactly what you're saying. And I want to give anybody a chance to see if anything is sticking out to them before I go back to playing this as well.
Well, RJ, I just wanted to thank you for having me on tonight's panel discussing this story with you and Mr. Boss Blake and Miss Lynn. I got to run. Got to take care of a couple of things, but I mean, Boss is hitting the points, because when we take a look at casework, he is extremely non-biased and objective when it comes to isolating certain facts of the case. And he can, put himself in another person's shoes, let's just say the subject matter shoes, and begin to chronicleize and isolate those things that jump right out at him. So, I mean, he's not only a realist, but he develops this skill naturally. And when he lays it down on the table, he hopes he's wrong.
Yeah.
He hopes he's wrong, but looking at it objectively and realistically, this is what comes out to him. And this is one of the great things I enjoy working with Mr. Boss Blake on. We get to the point quick, and you guys are certainly chopping away at this tonight. But Absolutely. I've got to run. Thank you so much for once again having me on the panel. Thank you, Miss Lynn, for your time.
John.
Yes, it's good to chat with you again. You got my number.
John Q, John Q, anytime and every time you are welcome on my panel. I want to thank you very much for joining me tonight, and I appreciate you, even though your time was limited, and we're running past that time. I want to thank you for joining us tonight.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We will connect, RJ. We will connect.
Absolutely. You know that.
All right, folks. And good night to the chat. Much love to you. Thank you for sticking around and supporting RJ. If you haven't subscribed, please do, because this is just one of many stories I know he's going to cover on his channel. And we work very well together. So much love to everyone. Be well and stay blessed with Godspeed.
Night, John. And boss man, I want to agree with you on that homeschooling. Throughout COVID, my youngest daughter had already graduated from high school, but I kept saying, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God. I would not have been able to homeschool her because she would have sabotaged everything. It's just what kids like that do. And I was not the parent to do that at all. I don't hear any judgment in you at all. It's all good. And you're right on all the points you're making.
Bossman, no, you are not being an asshole.
Not at all.
To use your way, your own say it, the way you say it, there's a time and a place where you have to use that ability, shall we say, where you to be stubborn and determined about something, and to the point where you can come across as being an asshole, and you are not even closely approaching that.
Right.
Like I said, folks, I'm going to speed this up just a little bit because I want to make sure everybody. Don't want to take. I always try to plan 2 hours, no more than 2.5 hours. I notice that we're getting close to 2 hours, and I want to make sure I want to get to what the dad says towards the end here, which is the point that disturbs me the most about anything and everything he says.
Gets used, supposedly they're going to know it like almost instantaneously.
And they're supposed to know if anybody gets on her devices right away.
Yeah, they'll track the IP addresses for sure. Okay, so tell me a little bit about the day that she went missing. What happened on June the 16th? And when was the last time that you guys physically seen her or spoke to her? What was that interaction like?
No, that was the Tuesday, Wednesday. It was, yeah, I'm sorry. We're sitting here because we know the date. I'm sorry, not to be rude or correct. It was Wednesday the 15th. When I noticed at 7 o'clock in the morning, Brent noticed her.
Okay, so it was the 15th that she actually went missing. Sorry, it's because the article here says the 16th. But I'm sure that's whenever she was probably reported.
Well, no, she was reported right after.
We had
okay
that morning, and like I said, we're not trying to be corrective, but it goes.
No, it's important. It's important, and like we've talked about, articles that's part of the importance I think of having you on here is, well, you said the articles have had her name wrong,
right?
The date she's missing wrong, like all of that stuff only hinders finding her.
We want to correct any misconceptions or anything that's wrong.
Like that. It was more,
so she went missing.
I know the time she went missing. That was it sticks out as a, I don't know, tower or something. It's a beacon. It just.
So it was anywhere between the 11 o'clock Tuesday night and 7 in the morning.
Wednesday, 14th to the 15th. That overnight.
Okay. So what was that day like leading up to that? What were you guys' last interactions with her like?
You want to be honest with me? I was kind of avoiding her. I was kind of, because I was so overwhelmed. And I didn't want to get upset. And I didn't want to anymore because I'd already got upset at her. I just wanted to take a break and back a little bit. That was probably the wrong thing to do, but I didn't know what.
No, not at all.
No, space is
good.
All
the time whenever, they tell us all the time whenever you are fed up with your children, or if you're having altercations or things like that, disagreements, that it's better as a parent to walk away and give yourself a cool down period than to have an interaction that you may regret later. And so I'm a firm believer in that. If you're having difficulties with your children, no matter how young they are or how old they are, sometimes it is best to, calm yourself, walk away, and to give yourself a cool down period. So don't feel bad if you felt that you needed to do that. Now, so were you guys arguing leading up to that day?
Well, we
Was
were
it about the phone or anything like that?
because we found the stuff on the phone that
Monday afternoon, the
was not
13th.
good. And yes, we argued.
There was stuff on the phone
Yeah.
that you never. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Even,
Yeah. So,
anyway.
So then we went to bed, and she went to bed that night after we had talked. We thought we had talked, and
We said love yous and good nights. I mean, we do this no matter what. I mean, it's just one of those things. We might not hug and kiss on her, at a certain time, but you always get a love you good night. That's one of the things. And it was 10 or 10:30 that Tuesday night.
So then we both left to go to work on Tuesday. I had her phone. She was home. She's supposed to do her schoolwork while we're gone. I debated whether to take her computer, and I said, no, I'm not going to take her computer because she needs to do her schoolwork, and she's trying to get her driver's license. So she's trying to do the Joshua's Law for Georgia to get her driver's license. And she was working a lot on that to get it done. I'm like, well, I don't want to leave her with nothing to do. So I left her computer. I had it in my hand, and I put it back down. I'm like, oh, I regret that now because that had to be the only way she could have communicated with somebody. I went to my sister's house after work because I just needed somebody to talk to, and Danny came home, and he talked to her for a little bit, and then I came home a little bit later, and I really didn't talk to her much, and then we went to bed. Yeah.
With Kaylee, you say it's a good thing to have space, but the thing is, if Kaylee didn't like the space you were giving her, or if you didn't give her as much attention, even though you're at each other's throat or whatever, and she's sitting here, denying or whatever, if you try to just steer away from that situation, you can't, because she wants to, come in and deal with you like nothing has ever happened, and let's go back before this happened. Well, I'm sorry, certain things we can do that with, when you're growing up. There's certain things. The issue with taking her phone, that was something that was, it's never easy, but the things that getting into on this telephone are just, nothing as a parent you want to see or hear about.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And
yeah.
So, I mean, it's like.
So it was concerning, the things that you guys found on her phone. It was concerning things.
To say
okay.
That. Yes.
Yeah. And so that would make you, I'm sure, even that much more worried as to where she possibly is right now.
100%. Yes.
Yeah.
I can kind of assume the things that you guys are alluding to without you even saying it. And so that makes it that much more important, you guys, to please hit the like button, share the streams, get their story out there as many places as you can. All of the missing Facebook groups, everywhere that you guys are. We've got 58 to 65 people in here consistently hearing this story. And, Kaylee is out there somewhere with somebody, likely from some pretty scary chat rooms. And that's terrifying for this family. It's me. They're not sure exactly who she was speaking to because unfortunately the chat rooms, whenever you exit them, everything's deleted.
That's just maddening. I'm sorry, but that's just maddening to me. That is just terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it was in my house and I didn't know, I had no clue about this.
Well, I mean, how would you on a Chromebook? Those are, so they're constantly advertised to be like, what kids use for school and everything. I would not have thought to check a Chromebook for that kind of stuff, I guess.
Well, the incognito, I had the computer in my hand and I could not, I had somebody, it was actually my cousin, he's kind of IT, and we went through and I was going through like the back door of it, they call it, it's the DOS or it's the old school, all the like apps, it's the coding kind of stuff. And he was telling me, type this in, type that in, type this in, type that in, none of that stuff. It drew a blank because there was nothing there to get.
Yeah, I didn't know about incognito mode until I'm just now talking with y'all. That's
and to go back to Snapchat, not to go back.
And the kids know about it. I'm finding out.
Well, I was going to say, what other apps other than this Omegle chat room? You said Snapchat. Did she play like any like phone games, like I don't know, Farmville or like a basketball game, anything on her phone like that would have in-game chat rooms?
She might have got into a game chat room, but we don't know of. But she doesn't usually play any games on her phone.
Okay.
She's
some of that
not.
stuff several years ago on like her little iPod thingy and one of those
She's
older
not
phones
the
we
kid
had,
to be out playing on games. She's or even watching TV. She's outside riding her horses or doing something outside or doing her art. She loves art.
Well, that was one thing I noticed is that weekend, just looking at, you know, your stuff, it looked like she had a great weekend with horses and stuff.
She did.
So it was, I mean, probably you didn't quite expect this either.
No.
No, I mean, I went home and I spoke to her, you know, a little bit. And it's not like we were mad. It was distraught over, you know, the whole thing and not knowing how to, you know, exactly move forward. You know, that was the worst. And I kind of told her, I said, you know, there's just only so much that we can do to help you. And I don't know what else to do right now. I mean, but I did tell her straight because, I mean, yeah, she did run away 3 months ago. But I was like, you know what? I honestly, I had an eerie feeling that possibly I'd come here and you would not be here. But you know what? I want you to know out of my lips right now. I said, I'm so thankful, glad you are sitting here. I told her that Tuesday afternoon. I told her that. And I made sure I made it clear. I said, I love you more than you know. I am absolutely glad that you are here. I said, I mean, not happy with the situation, but that we can deal with, you know, somehow and work through it. I said, the simple fact is I love you for who you are. And I'm very proud that you have not taken off and just run off like you did before. And that thing is, I think she learned something doing it the last time. Now, won't go and find somebody to get the police involved because she kind of knows the police would bring her back again. And we and the cops told her that the last time, you know, if you run away and you say your parents abused this, that, and the other, but unless there's evidence or truthfulness of it, you know, it doesn't go anywhere. So we're going to bring you back home. And actually, last time that they brought her back, they couldn't tell us one way or another, or they didn't tell us. They in the car because the sheriff's officer showed up. So, but telling the but the simple fact was and the cops they looked at all made all a thing of she was a bad teenager that we took her back then, and that was his words, not me saying nothing. And because what we said, we took the phone, and he said, "I can see where this is, and I've seen this before. It's a mad that you took her telephone."
Yeah.
I mean, and it's disheartening and hard for me to even say that. You know, I'm not bragging about it, but the simple fact is, it's like you do everything you can for these children, and then you know try to take them out of the situation they were in. You try to give them the better life and everything. There is damage done from the get go, just like you guys were saying about the nurturing part and the feeling of the baby.
Yeah, it's hard because they never really truly feel that void being filled. And it takes a lot of years, a lot of counseling, a lot of just love and care. And sometimes a lot of these kids, you know, never truly get past it. And that's nothing against the people who are currently raising them. It's just because of the fact that they have such hard starts in life. And so it's hard for me to know exactly, you know, what's going on in her head. But I've seen this before with kids who have been adopted, and it's difficult. And then of course, you know, our mental health care system is broken. And COVID did not help that because things went from in-person visits to online, and you lose that trust whenever you switch therapist and all of the different things that happen to a lot of children who were going in and out of mental health care through that time period. So let me ask you guys, is there anything that you would like to say to Kaylee if she happens to come across this video and listen to it?
Come home. Come home. We love you. Come on. Come home.
Okay, so we heard mom's response. Come home. We want you home. Please come home. Pay attention what dad says.
So,
or don't come home. Stay where you're happy, but just let us know you're alive.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mean that as I don't want her to come home, but
No, I know what you're saying.
The reality is, if you really don't want to be with us, that's fine. But please just let us know where you are and that you're safe. Because then I can get back to, I mean, I don't want to say a regular life, but this is the worst. I just don't know how to keep heads or tails of anything on any day.
I can't imagine. I mean, Brent.
What did the dad just say?
He just said, I don't know how to help her. And coming into our home is not the answer. Coming back home is not the answer. I know you don't see it that way, RJ. I'll bow out now.
No. Stay. We can talk for a moment or two. Yeah, don't worry.
He's
So-
realizing it's nothing they're doing is helping.
So what I read into what he is saying is, yes, he's hurting. Yes, he wants to know that she is safe. But in all of what they have dealt with in the past 12 years, he is indifferent to whether or not she returns to his home. Almost to the point where he actually just doesn't care.
It's you. I don't know, RJ, if you're a parent or not, but there was a point I never imagined in my whole parenting life. My daughter, one of the things these kids will do, will urinate in different places, in their room, in the house, or wherever. And my daughter was 12 years old when she did this. And it was out of defiance. We figured that out after a little bit. And if you knew me, I adore kids, children, I love. And for a 2-week period there, you could have came and removed my child from my home and I would have had her packed in 15 minutes. And I would have been okay with that. And that moment of I no longer felt that overwhelming love and protection that a parent feels for their child. That's what happens to you when you're parenting a child like this 24/7. This guy didn't just spend 15 years. He spent 15 years of 24/7 chaos, drama, whatever in his home, and all these other relationships that go with it. And so he knew in the end, we don't get to bring her home and watch her graduate from high school, help her go on to college, become a mother one day, a wife one day, walk her down the aisle. He knew all that is gone. He's a human being. He's a father doing the best he can. And he is being a realist now, knowing it's not there anymore. And he does not get to parent this child like we all want to.
And I completely understand that. But I'm still going to sit here and make the point of, and yes, I do have a child who is over the age of 18 now. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You still don't go from the point of raising a child, loving a child, getting to know the natural love that a parent has from a child, to the point where he is. In my mind, are you familiar with Summer Wells?
Oh, yes.
Okay. What he is saying is very similar I'm not saying it's exact, because I understand there's nuances that make it different. I'm still saying, though, this is a Don Wells-like statement when he pulled up to the shed at the lower end of his property and makes the statement from the moment that he arrived home that he just knew she was gone. You don't go from 0 to 60 in 0.5 seconds. You don't go from being, I knew she was gone, or if you don't want to come home, at least let us know you're alive. You don't go, your natural instinct as a parent is still, you belong in our home where we can protect you, where we can provide for you until you're ready to provide and be on your own.
So if you're comparing him to Don, you can compare me to Candace, let's say.
No, I wouldn't do that. I don't know you. I don't know your circumstances. I wouldn't do that.
Right. And the thing is there's a humongous difference. Don never bonded with his children. Life, that's all different. But I get where you're coming from on it. And I am telling you that unless I had lived this, I wouldn't have ever in a million years thought that when someone says, how's your daughter? I say she has a roof over her head and has a job. That's the best I can tell you. My daughter's, my youngest is 23 now. She has a roof over her head and she has a job. That's all I can tell you. Other than I'm glad she's not under my roof anymore.
Yeah.
15 years ago, I would have never said those words ever in a million years.
Honeybee gets exactly my point. I'm not saying he's Don Wells. The only thing I can compare it to is a like statement. Okay, a similar type of statement. That's all I can. And no way am I trying to say that this guy is Don Wells. I'm not trying to do that at all. Okay, I'm just going on the statement alone. All right, Honeybee gets what I'm saying. You know, he's only upset because of her actions. It makes him look bad. He's selfish. It's a very selfish statement. You're right. It really is, Honeybee.
It is selfish. I agree with that. And he's being honest. Yes.
But that is a statement that disturbs me. You don't go from just, you don't go and say that no matter what. It's okay to make the statement of, please let us know you're okay. We can work through this. If it means you don't want to move back home, we can work through this. But it's not okay to make the statement the way he made it. That's what disturbs me so much about this guy. It almost wants to scream at me, as Boss Blake was saying earlier. The parents know more than than they're telling.
Absolutely do. They absolutely do.
Nosy Bug. Sometimes the parents fighting for your child to do right, get right, be right. Sometimes our hands are tied and souls are tired. You're right, Nosy Bug. You're right. And I'm not trying to diminish or take away from the parent there's a special place in heaven for a parent that has a special needs child, and they do everything they possibly can to provide for that child. And they do it out of love. They don't do it for being selfish. making themselves look good. But earlier in the stream, Bossman Blake sent me a article. I'm real quick going to go over this article. It came out yesterday, July 15th. A 16-year-old Georgia girl has been missing since June 14th. May be in Cartersville area, investigators say. The Bartow County Sheriff's Office has said they have reason to believe Kaylee Jones may be in Cartersville area. As of July 5th, Kaylee remains missing. Investigators have been working around the clock on the case and have been reviewing data collected from Kaylee's electronic devices and have been in contact with those she had last had contact with on those devices. Investigators continue to receive tips and possible sightings, and none of these have been substantiated yet. Kaylee was last seen in the area of Whooping Creek Church Road in Carroll County on June 14th. Police have no leads on where she may be headed or where she was accompanied by. Police suspect she may be with someone whom she met online. Kaylee has brown hair, brown eyes, 5'8", and weighs about 135 pounds. Has no phone or vehicle with her. Kaylee's mother thinks that she may have a book bag with her. The bag is described as dark blue with a horse on the front and possibly has the word Maisie or Kaylee on it. Kaylee may be wearing black tennis shoes or Converse. If you have any tips, or if you are in that area and have any tips and recite this little girl, this young lady, please call the lead investigator, Kim Biggs, Biggs. If you have any information on her whereabouts, the phone number is 770-830-5916, or email kbiggs, KBIGGS, @carrollsheriff.com. Thank you, Bossman Blake, for that information. And I want to thank all my guests tonight. Bossman Blake, John Q, Miss Lynn, who I'm sure will be in the chat in just a second here so I can remember her correct screen name or username. Bossman, I know you're in the chat room, but I want to give you the respect of you're still with me here. So if you have any final words you wish to, even in the chat, I will be more than happy to convey them. Adoption scams. I'm very much like how Bossman Blake does. I wish he would have stayed, because I always give my guests a chance to have final words before I close out. But you're welcome to say them in the chat, and I will convey them. I'll make sure they appear on my screen, on the screen here. Thank you very much, Bossman. I appreciate you bringing this case to me. And like I said, not everything that the adopted dad said was disturbing, but when you add up everything he says, it's suspect. No, where the wind blows, you're good. You're good. Don't worry. We welcome all opinions in this chat room. If I miss an opinion or somebody's statement, don't take offense to that ever. This is my 19th video that I've actually done a live on. So I'm still learning, guys. You know what I mean? I miss things. I make mistakes. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm perfect. Nosy Bug, thank you very much. I appreciate that. The adoption scam, you are welcome back anytime as well. I appreciate you, your insight that you did have. I sincerely appreciate everybody being here tonight. Please, if you like anything that we have talked about tonight and the way we went over tonight, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you had not already done so. Hit that notification bell. I love doing content like this. I want to bring you more content like this. I want to bring you small stories that other creators are not talking about. And I want to keep doing it. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. And again, thank you very much for those who are on panel. John Q, Bossman Blake. Bossman, I will be including that this in my description after the stream, your Kaylee Jones video, just so you know. I appreciate it, even though you've already given me permission to use it without any hesitation. Thank you very much. Everybody, I want to, Charlie, have a great night. Thank you. I'm just making sure I didn't miss any comments real quick, guys. Okay. Once again, Jay, everybody, I hope you have a wonderful night. Thank you for coming out. My name is RJ. It is 11 o'clock at night where I live. As I end every show, I like to ask, do you know where no matter how old your kids are, old or young, do you know where your kids are tonight? I am RJ, and I am out.